Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new, welcome to my channel where we embrace change and expansion and overall growth. And I wanted to come on live, or not live, but kind of, I tend to do a lot of just live streaming videos with minimal editing because I like to free flow in my videos, so welcome. Today's topic is triggers. And the resistance you might be feeling in your life right now. Okay, so I tend to talk about a lot of things that I'm experiencing in my own life to kind of vibe with you guys and have open conversations about energy that I'm moving through and maybe something that you're moving through as well. And a lot of resistance and a lot of triggers have been coming up in my life, in my current moment. And I felt really guided to come on today and really talk about what triggers truly mean when they're coming up. A trigger is a beautiful way of your higher vision in the universe, or guides, angels, whatever you choose to believe in, tapping you on the shoulder to say, hey, I want you to look at this. So whether that emotion is feeling frustrated, angry, sad, jealous, whatever these emotions tend to bring up in us is emotions that need to be seen, felt, and released. And I feel like there's 3 stages to this. Like, I was kind of writing and really feeling into what the process really is. And this is a process that I've been moving through in the last week with triggers that have been floating up in my life. And the first is the resistance, right? So when triggers are like coming up within yourself, you just want to squash it down, right? It's like these feelings are very uncomfortable and it's hard to kind of move through emotions that within your subconscious, you've been taught like, I don't want to look at that. That's why it's being brought back up, because it's something that you need to really look at in your life. And for me, a lot of anger and a lot of frustration has been floating up. And my go-to is like love and light, like my life is perfect. And I want to move through this space of like, everything's fine. I have to stay positive. So that's kind of like another way of bypassing what really wants to come through and move out of the body. So the first thing that comes up is like the resistance, right? So for me, and if I look down, it's like I have notes. In that moment of resistance, there comes this point of choice. Everything in life is a choice. That's the beauty of living in a very free existence, right? We have self-will, or free will to choose through self to what we want to experience in our external world, right? Like, that's the beauty of living on earth. And when the resistance happens, you have a choice to either move through the resistance or react. And a lot of us like to react, right? We go right into the spiraling out in our minds, like, oh, this person's making me so frustrated. Oh, they're so dumb. Like, da, da, da. You start making stories, and you're like, judgment starts to flow through, and you start analyzing. Your ego wants to find balance, right? In your emotionality and your mental body, right? You're trying to find some sort of equilibrium and balance between your emotions and your external world. And you have a choice to either react or, here's the trick, pause and breathe. pausing and taking a deep breath, and I've been doing this. It's allowing my soul to sort of step in, right? Instead of letting my ego react, I'm stepping aside and allowing to pause, breathe, and not react, but evaluate where and why these emotions are coming up, and what can I do to better facilitate the release of the emotion or the understanding of the emotion. A lot of times for me, it's like I can get really analytical, like, why is this emotion coming up? Where is it stemming from? Like, I can get too analytical. Sometimes if we just breathe and sit with it, our intuitive soul and our intuitive body will know how to release it. Sometimes I can try to force healing or force release. And a lot of times it's just surrendering to how that emotion wants to be played out. Sometimes it's literally just sitting and breathing with it. There's no like journaling and like piecing it apart. It's just an emotion that's been trapped that needs to be seen. You know, it needs to be seen, you know, instead of being squashed down like we just talked about. It wants to be seen and felt and understood. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I understand that there's frustration floating up. If you have an intuitive knowing of where that frustration lies and why it's there, amazing. Then just breathe through it. Instead of reacting, just accepting. So there comes a point of accepting where you are and what you're feeling in that moment. And acceptance has been the key to allowing things to float up and allowing things to be released. So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit and move through like kind of the 3 stages I was kind of speaking about. So the first one is the resistance that comes up. Okay, realizing that there's resistance. So when there's emotions that come up, instead of creating that barrier of resistance, go into pausing, breathing, and creating that room for choice to either react the way the ego wants to, again, to find the equilibrium, to find equal ground. Because the ego is just trying to find safety in your outer world. That's why our inner roommate is always going and going and going. Our inner roommate is within our mind. I'm actually rereading this amazing book called The Untethered Soul. I'll link it in the description below. I forgot the author, but I will put in all the information below. But it's a really incredible book that speaks of the racing of our inner minds. And once we get a grip of our inner roommate, is what we call it, that other person that we tend to bounce ideas off, you know, once we separate us between the inner thought and knowing that we're separate, we can find release and comfort that, like, where we're trying to find equilibrium is from our ego, and where we exist is the stillness between them both. And so I'll link it in the description below. Anyways, I don't want to get too distracted, so I want to go back to the choice. The choice to either react in an emotion, or we can choose to pause and react differently in the moment, which means pause, breathing, and then going to the third point is just accepting where you are. That's been the biggest thing for me. It's like, I'm not going to get too much into astrology because I'm not too attuned. I do follow the moon cycles, and I tend to just follow my own cycles in my life. But today is the Scorpio full moon. So it's a great time for deep release and deep flowering of what we want to truly let go of. And so I sometimes use those times in my life, the lunar cycles, to help facilitate releasing and building intention through the full and new moons. And they can be amazing tools, but sometimes I feel forced in those moments to heal and find what needs to be healed and what needs to be, let go of. And it's the sort of like forced action of trying to let go of things. And then I kind of want to segue into like this kind of new part of the video where I kind of speak about you can't force healing. The past, 4 years I've been on this ascension journey, this spiritual journey. There's been so many times where I forced myself to meditate or forced myself to make lists to let go and force myself to do something on a new moon cycle. And I'm forcing deep change when those aren't sometimes the moments to let go or to create intention. Sometimes those are the moments of reminder, of course. But for me, if I'm feeling forced or if a time of really letting go or initiation or creating cycles of openness for myself feel more strained and not true to the cycles of where I'm at, sometimes it creates more harm for me in my journey. I feel like when we're in moments of trigger, those are the moments where deep transformation and healing occur. So I try to be extra aware within my mind in those areas when I'm feeling the most triggered, when I'm feeling the most emotionally charged, right? So I definitely wanted to tap into that because that's something that has been really kind of coming up in my life as of recently, is like, if I am coming into a new moon or full moon and I feel this FOMO, like if I don't, make a list of stuff I need to let go of, it won't happen. And like I get in this like, oh no, like I'm not gonna heal if I don't do it on this particular day. And that's just not true. Like really honor the cycles that you're moving through. Your healing takes time. It takes so much time and so much like steady devotion. I've talked about devotion in my other videos, how important devotion relates to your ultimate growth, right? It's really dedicating things that you do each day to really elevate your energy and detox your mind, your body, and get you into your heart center. I've spoken about breathwork, kundalini, and meditation being modalities for me. But they could be anything that get you into your heart. If you like to write poetry, write poetry. If you make art, create art. If you like to dance, like put on some music and just dance. Like dancing is such a great expression to release like pent up energy and frustration within yourself. Just movement can be an amazing, beautiful modality to like create a lot of release. So it doesn't have to be sitting down and making a list and what do I need to let go of. Sometimes it's just saying it out loud, making a declaration, turning on some music and just moving around, whatever really like lights your soul up. Like this path to spiritual awakening and expansion doesn't have to feel drudgeful and like, I don't even know if that's a word, but like it doesn't have to be drudgy and like hard. And it can be light and fun, and you can create expansion through joy too, and happiness too. So that's like another little tidbit. This is what I love about like moving through these live videos, is like things just sort of get channeled and just move through me, which is really great. But again, resistance, choice, and acceptance. Moving through those three and just keeping them in mind can really just create, for me, it's created more like understanding of how to move through some of these emotions that come up, knowing how to like ground them a little bit better in the moment. Because sometimes like I go right into like resisting them, squashing them down, and wanting to like live in love and light. And sometimes it's not about that. It's about accepting however you're feeling in any given moment. Accepting that you're in resistance to change. Like for me, it's like, I feel like I'm moving through a lot of resistance of going into the unknown and going through these like, these changes within my life and going into the void. You know, these are things that, you know, have been spoken to me a lot, like stepping into the unknown and going into the void. These are just, how can you step more into feeling really uncomfortable and learning to be okay with that, learning to be okay to step into the mysteries of the world and not knowing how you're going to move through it. Accepting that you're not going to know your path. You're not going to know every step. You know, for me, I suffer from wanting to be in control so much. I want to know the outcome. I want to know this is going to be a success or not a success. I want to know that, you know, it's just like, I want to know the resolution, but that's not how this path works. That's not how your greatest expression works. It moves through, how are you going to do things differently? When an emotion comes up, how are you going to react differently? That is where the growth is. Okay? Not reacting, but just pausing and breathing and just accepting where you're at right now. It feels like a really good place to stop the video. Thank you guys so much for being here, for stopping by. If you feel guided to like the video, please do. Leave a comment below if you feel like you need clarity or you want to create community. Please do so. It means the world to me. To create a really beautiful space for people to have conversation and to build a community around to love and to acceptance on this beautiful path of expanding our souls on this earth and loving each other, you know, within the process. If you feel guided to subscribe, please do too. That helps my channel get expanded to other eyes and ears, which means the world to me as well. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. I will be on again shortly.